Hey guys, Dan here, and we are back with a video on the Bitcoin macro cycle. So today I'm going to show you what I believe is going to happen in the future here in the next right-hand side of this chart. I want to go through some of the history if you're not familiar with the macro cycle of Bitcoin. Bitcoin does follow a very consistent schedule every 4 years. It relates to the halving, so we're going to go through all of the different dates, the predictions, what we've seen in the past, what we may see in the future. So stay tuned to the video. All right, very first thing, let's talk about the halving. So I have all the dates on here in red. I have red markers for every halving, and we have some future halvings that will come in the future. It happens roughly every 4 years, and it reduces new Bitcoin creation by 50%. So basically what happens is it reduces the new supply of Bitcoins coming into the market, and that creates more demand. So basically what we've seen historically is when we have a halving, usually we have a period of time where we kind of trade sideways, and then we will start to run up to the all-time high of that cycle. It has repeated this cycle many times. The very first one was, what was it, 2012 was the very first halving, and then now 2016 here, 2020, 2024. We are at the fourth halving right now, and we will have the fifth in roughly 2028, probably March or so, maybe mid 2028. It depends on a couple different factors. But all right, here's what we saw last time. So I should say the second time. Basically what happens is you have your halving, and then you have roughly 200 and something days before the price started to rise, and we came up into the 2018 all-time high. I invested a lot of my original cryptocurrency in 2017, about November-ish. I was purchasing Bitcoin for about $12,000 originally, along with some Ethereum and some other cryptocurrencies, XRP, a lot of that, Binance Coin as well, thankfully. And then basically we had this all-time high here on January 12th, 2018 of 19,884. Then we see this almost every time as well. Now you'll come down to a cycle low. If you were paying attention and were in crypto, you could have bought Bitcoin for $3,183. This is on Coinbase. This is the exchange I use. I am based in the United States, so I unfortunately don't have a lot of choices for exchanges, so I'm forced to use Coinbase, so that is what I use. I don't think they're bad, but they have some pretty decent functionality. I will make another video on all of the exchanges that are available in the United States and talk about my opinions on those. But anyways, let's continue. So we have our cycle here, and you can see at the very top that we basically have 528 days, and then we'll have a 358-day bear market. You can see we've been going down. We went down from about 20,000 all the way down to that 3,000. That is an 85% sell-off. And this is very common for Bitcoin. But if you see before that, what did we see in the run up here? We got a 10,000% return. So 10,000% return, and then on the way down we only saw a 84% down. So pretty insane up, and then, you know, obviously a very insane down, but you just want to be aware of these cycles here so that you can make profits in your own trading or investing, whatever you like to do. I don't really consider trading a great option, especially for beginners. I think your best thing is going to be like, look at this cycle we have here and then kind of decide when you want to purchase and when you want to take profits. That's kind of the point of this whole cycle. Obviously you're going to want to be buying around the all-time low and taking profits around the all-time high. Obviously if it was that easy, everyone would do it, but this should help you here. Now if we get into the second cycle, we see kind of the same thing here, right? So basically we start off in the halving, which is usually low, and then it goes up to the all-time high, then it pulls back. Then we go back to the halving where it's coming up a little bit. You can see I have these marked as kind of yellow because we have 518 days of basically sideways, but you do see some increases, right? So from the very bottom to the very top in that cycle, you do still have a 200% return, But then you see COVID here. We had a COVID crash just like the S&P 500. We saw something very similar in this time frame here. Now, if we move into the second cycle, or actually the third cycle, but second cycle on Coinbase, because Coinbase obviously came out after Bitcoin. But the third cycle, here we are. It starts and we are at about 9,200, and this started 2020. Right after COVID, and then we ran up all the way to 64,000 in only a matter of, 300 days or so, about a year. But you will notice that right after the halving, you don't have any big price moves for the first 140 days. And I think we're going to see the same thing over here. I think we're going to see, a period of time where we're trading sideways, although literally as I'm talking right now, we have just pumped up to 70,000 from about 68. So we're seeing a nice little pump here. But yeah, so we had 140 days. We came up to this all-time high. We came back down for a little bit. We came back, we made a new all-time high, and then we pulled back to this cycle low of about 15,000. So again, to reiterate, halving, we're at 9,000. We went all the way up to 67,000, the all-time high right here, 69,000 actually for, a brief moment. And then we pulled all the way back down yet again. Let's see what that pullback is. About a 74% pullback. So quite a large pullback, even, maybe 77 here, quite a big pullback. So again, when you are very high on this, when you see these prices really bananaing up here, you're going to want to be taking some profits in these areas for sure. So now we'll come back down here and we will be at this cycle low yet again. And if you'll notice, the timing is almost identical, right? 550 days. So we went 530, 550. 360, 375, 518, 511. You see what I mean here? So it's very predictable so far. So if we follow what we've seen in the past, now we'll get into my prediction of what we're going to see in the future. I know it looks kind of ridiculous, but I will show you why it's not too ridiculous here in a minute here. So what we're going to do here is we got the halving that we just had, April 20th, almost 420. We had our halving. And as we've seen before, you're going to wait maybe 140 days of sideways trading. That would put us right about September. So September of this year, maybe we're going to see this banana zone, as people are calling it, and we'll come up a little bit. We'll have some big pumps to the upside. We'll have a nice little pullback, and then we'll maybe have a final push. I know this looks kind of like a ridiculous number, but let me show you how I arrived at this number, and I'll put some numbers, some evidence behind it, right? So what we have going on here is the very first one I was talking about in 2012. We had a 97x increase between the $12 halving price and the $1,200 all-time high, and then it pulled back. We saw a negative 8x, went down 8 times, and then we see this halving here. We have an all-time high, and again, this gives us a 13x. So we saw a 97x, and then 4 years later we saw a 13x. 4 years later we saw 8x, and you can see we've been kind of almost having our returns, right? There's going to be diminishing returns, of course, because you have a higher market cap. So it's harder to move the market when you have a really high market cap. A lot of people have money in here. We have ETFs now. So it's a lot harder to move the market. So you just using kind of an estimation here, I'm thinking we're going to see roughly a 4x. Could be more, could be less, could be a 2x, could be a 7x again, because there's so many institutional investors coming into the game. It's going to be really interesting to see what we see. But this is kind of what I predicted. So if we look at that, a 4x would give us right up here to this 261,800. And if we use the same timing, this is saying October 6th, 2025. So I'm going to post this video. We'll see how my prediction works in the future. And we're going to see if we hit any of these milestones. And then we might see a big pullback like we've seen before. If we see this same pullback, we will see something like a 77% yet again pullback. So that's what we've been seeing a lot in the market. And that would bring us all the way back down to 52. So what am I doing right now in the game? We're going to talk about that in some other videos, but I just want to talk quickly about what I'm doing currently in this market. I am just accumulating cryptocurrencies. I'm accumulating Bitcoin, Ethereum. I'm into Solana and Render the most. Those are my 4 top holdings right now. I do have some Bitcoin Cash and some Litecoin that I'm gonna try to get rid of those in the future here once I can get a little bit better pricing. But I'm just trying to accumulate as much Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as I can during the dips. Every time we see a dip in some of these currencies, like Render, for example, we're in this trading range here. Every time I dip towards the lower, I'm going to be buying some. And that's I'm just grabbing it, I'm holding it. Ethereum is the same thing. I purchased a lot of Ethereum around 2800 or something, which is actually pretty sweet. What do we got going on here? About 2800. I purchased a lot. I was going in on Ethereum right back here in this 2800 section, thankfully, and we saw this nice big return. On these pullbacks here, it's a good time to purchase if you're looking to, dollar cost average into the market. I like to wait for a little bit of a pullback purchase, wait for a little bit purchase, hold some cash on the side. That's how I personally do it. You can also just literally go into Coinbase or whatever your exchange is, and you can just dollar cost average, saying I'm going to put $100 in every blah blah blah, and that's what we're going to put into there. So okay, that's gonna be it for the video today. I just want to talk about this macro 4-year cycle, talk about my predictions in the future, and we'll see if I'm right or not. We will see. I'll come back and revisit this video maybe in a year or so, and I'd love to see where we are. Maybe even 140 days from now, we're going to see what I thought. Maybe it's going to be sooner. Who knows? We're never going to predict these perfectly. This is all just kind of an estimation to get you prepared for what you want to do in the future to make some money in this field. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like and that subscribe button. Have a great day, everyone. I will be making more videos on the channel. Of course, this is the first video, but there will be many more to come. I am a huge fan of investing. I'm an engineer and have been investing all my life in all sorts of different funds. I'm not only going to cover cryptocurrency, I'm going to cover stocks, I'm going to cover exchanges, and that's going to be it for the video. Have a great day, everyone. See you guys.